Welcome to the Just Because Diaries, where real life meets random chats and plenty of mom moments, all while reclaiming joy in the seemingly mundane. I'm Celeste, a mom, but also a whole-ass person navigating the balance of motherhood while rediscovering the joy in doing things just for myself. From the chaos of parenting to the little moments that make life fun, nothing is off limits. So grab a cup of coffee or something stronger if you're so inclined, and let's get into it. In today's episode, we are diving into what actually goes on behind the scenes of all those perfect family photos you see on holiday cards every year. From personal experience, and spoiler alert, it's an exhausting and sweaty mess. Plus, this week's Just Because segment that involves smutty audiobooks. So, let's jump in. The perfect family photo. You see them all over social media, especially around the holidays. Everyone is smiling, everyone is perfectly dressed, the candid moments look light and joyful, and for maybe some of those families, those experiences are exactly that, light and joyful, but for me and my family, behind our smiles was me, a stressed out mom, my toddler Keely, who decided that that day was the day to assert her independence, my husband David, who was running around trying to wrangle said toddler, and my son Miles, who was, honestly, he was an angel that day. He took direction better that day than any other day in his entire life. Family photos for us is not a thing we do every year. In fact, the last time we took family photos, I think Miles was 2. He's about to be 6. Keely wasn't even a thought at the time. So it's been a long time. And for Christmas last year, David gifted me with family photos where I get to pick everything. I got to pick where the location was, what time of year, anything. He just said, here is your gift and you get to make it whatever you want. So I was really excited because I have really been wanting to do family photos for a really, really long time, especially now that we have little Miss Keely in our lives. So I chose to have our photo shoot happen in the fall. So we just did this a couple of weeks ago because we live in Colorado and the fall here is just absolutely gorgeous. It's probably my favorite time of year. So it just made sense to me to do it then. So we chose our location, we chose our date, we had everything sorted out. So now the only thing left to do was to prep our outfits. Now, for me personally, this was a huge struggle because I have no idea how to coordinate colors. And the first thing I thought to do was to turn to Pinterest, which just made it worse for me because there were so many different types of families in so many different types of outfits in so many different types of locations that didn't necessarily reflect the kind of location we were going to be shooting at. And it just made me more confused. So I actually had the bright idea of turning to ChatGPT for help with figuring out what we should wear. And I was really honestly quite proud of this because it worked so well. So I went into ChatGPT and I said, hey, I'm going to be doing family photos. Here is who is in my family. It's a mom, a dad, a little boy, and a toddler girl. We're going to be doing photos in the fall at this time of year, and we're also going to be doing it at this location. So based off of that information, can you please give me examples of color schemes that would work well? And so it did. It came back with, 3 or 4 different options in writing saying you could do a light and airy approach, or you could have an earthy approach, or whatever it said. And then it gave me the option to visualize these. So it was going to create an image for me. And I said, yes, please, because I am incredibly visual and that was going to be exactly what I needed. So it did. It generated these weird photos with this weird family that looks nothing like us. But it didn't matter because the background was more or less what our background was going to be, at least color-wise. And I was able to kind of compare the outfits and see what I thought looked best. So I kind of decided what the general idea was going to be. I decided I was going to be wearing a dark green dress. So then I went on the hunt for that. Once I found that, I came back to ChatGPT and I said, okay, here's the dress I'm going to wear. Can you please redo this, but put the mom in this green dress? And it did. And it came up with new options. And from there, I was able to find exactly what I wanted. And it was amazing. So I literally had me in my dress, David decided he had a shirt he wanted to wear. So I said, okay, ChatGPT, here's the shirt the dad's going to wear. And then from there, we decided the color scheme that Miles and Keely were going to be in. And it was amazing. I was so happy. And it was so much easier than having to drown myself in umpteen photos of families on Pinterest. So that was all well and done. Outfits are sorted. Everyone has what they're going to wear. It's great. Now all that's left to do is to wait for the day of. So that day comes, and I severely underestimated how much was going to actually need to be done on the day. I knew that I was going to have to iron my dress, and that I was going to have to iron David's shirt and Miles' pants and Keely's dress or whatever. I was going to have a lot of ironing to do. Did I think to do that the day before? No, absolutely not. Of course I left it to the last minute. The day of comes, I realize I have to do all of this ironing. And on top of that, I have to get myself ready while also obviously taking care of my daughter who's at home with me and trying to figure out what we're going to do for dinner that night. So I ended up deciding to do a crock pot meal, which in theory was a good idea. However, I chose a crock pot meal that was so involved. I'm talking like searing the meat and so much prep that by the time I was done, I thought, what? This crock pot meal was meant to be easy, and it absolutely was not. So big fail there. So that was done. I finally get the ironing done. It's time to get me ready. I go, I do my hair. I decide to curl it that day, and it just would not stay curled. It would not. It just kept falling, and I could not understand why, because my hair keeps a curl pretty well. I have naturally wavy hair, and curling my hair, it doesn't ever just fall like that. And it was making me crazy. I ended up curling my hair 3 times that day because it just would not stay. I was losing my mind. And then eventually I gave up on my hair, and I thought, okay, just skip this for now, move on to something new. So I went on to my makeup. I did my makeup, and I just felt like I had so much makeup on because, to be honest, I don't wear a ton of makeup in my day-to-day. I wear mascara, I might wear a powder and blush, and that's the extent of it. Sometimes if I'm feeling fancy, I'll put on a tinted sunscreen, but for the most part, that's it. And that day, I opted for full foundation and eyeliner. I decided to do a cat eye eyeliner, which I never do, but why not? Try things on the day you're going to take family photos that are going to last forever, you know? So I had all of this makeup on, and I just felt so overwhelmed. I felt like I was just caked in makeup. My hair wasn't right. Everything was wrong. I was a stress ball. Eventually, everyone else gets dressed, and we get ourselves on the road. We arrive at the photo shoot, and Keely is immediately not having it. She doesn't want to hold anyone's hand. She doesn't want to be held. She just wants to run around and wave at passing cars. That's all she wants in the world, which is fine, except, you know, we kind of need photos of all of us together as a family. So we were picking her up. She was mad. She was upset. And we were just stressing in the background. David and I are running around after Keely, sweating, which thankfully it wasn't even that warm of a day. Otherwise, we would have been completely doomed. It was at least a little bit cool, but we were still running around, sweating after Keely, and we're smiling and we're trying to listen to the photographer's cues, and we're stressing about not being able to follow the photographer's cues. So we're smiling on the exterior, but internally, David and I are both just absolutely panicking that this is going horribly wrong and that there is not going to be a single photo of the 4 of us that's going to be anything worth keeping. So we continue with the photo shoot just like that. It is pure chaos. Mind you, I brought snacks. I brought her pacifier, which has like a little, it's a Wubba-Nub, if you know about those. It's a pacifier that has a little stuffed bear at the end of it. So we brought that. We call it Barrington. It's her favorite thing in the world. We had Barrington. I had a plethora of snacks, and I had milk and water for her. I was fully prepared with all the things. I even had little toys for her. None of it mattered. None of it mattered. She didn't want anything to do with any of it. She just wanted to run around and wave at cars. So that's kind of what ended up happening. Finally, the shoot ends, and I'm talking to the photographer, and she is assuring me that there are some really great photos in there. And I am just kind of nodding and choosing to believe her, even though I kind of don't believe her. And mind you, this has nothing to do with her and her professionalism at all. She was phenomenal. She was so wonderful at interacting with the kids. And even though Keely was highly suspicious of her, she was so great with Keely and Miles. And she was so helpful at meeting us where we were at. Keely wanted to run around. So she said, let's all walk towards the camera or whatever. You know, she was highly professional. So this day had nothing to do with our phenomenal photographer. It had everything to do with the hot mess express that my family was on. So we're walking back to the cars, and she's telling me there are definitely some great gems in here, and I'm just nodding along like, oh, great. And I just kind of told her, well, the whole goal that I wanted from this photo shoot was to capture my family in the moment of life that we're in right now. So I guess that's exactly what we're getting. And that's fine, because that's what I wanted. And I went on to tell her about this photo of me and my 3 siblings. I was probably 3 or 4, I want to say. And we're definitely in some kind of JCPenney situation. We're all sitting in chairs. There's my 2 older sisters are in the back, and then my brother and I are in the front. And my 3 siblings are all smiling, happy, and I am just staring straight into your soul through the camera lens. Not a smile to be found. I don't want to be there. I'm just straight-faced staring into the camera. So I was telling our photographer, well, I guess that's where Keely gets it from. So this is just what it's going to be, and that's fine. And one day we will all look back at these photos and laugh and love them, because that photo of me and my siblings is one of all of our favorite photos of all of us together, because it's just so funny. When we finally got to our cars, David and I were exhausted, but we still had to go home and give the kids and ourselves dinner and do bedtime. So there was still a lot of the evening still to be had, and we were just so tired. But eventually we did get to collapse into our beds, and we were completely drained, completely done, and we almost regretted the decision to do the photos in the first place because of how absolutely chaotic it all felt. But in the end, our photographer was absolutely magic, because our photos turned out so beautifully, even with the absolute chaos of the day. There were some absolutely beautiful photos in there, and David and I were blown away. We honestly, we were hoping for one single picture where we were all together and Keely would not be mad. But there were so many of them. It was amazing. Truly, if you would have looked through this album that we got, you never would have known our experience was anything like what it was. Which just goes to say that all of these perfect family photos that you see, like I said, sure, maybe some of them are absolutely as perfect and serene and wonderful in their photography experience as the picture portrays. But I'm telling you, mine was not. And if your family photo experience was as wild as mine, know that you are absolutely not alone. And if you're gearing up to take your family photos, here are my key takeaways for you. First, ChatGPT for color coordination help. I'm telling you, it was amazingly helpful. I will forever be doing that step when it comes to family photos, although I don't know when we'll be doing them again after that experience. But for the future, 100% going to be using ChatGPT for color coordination help. And also, pack all the snacks. I mean, it's a tip for mom life in general, right? And I'm sure no one needs to hear that. But bring the snacks. Bring the pacifier, bring the blankie, the lovey, whatever makes your child happy and brings them comfort, bring it. Who cares if they're in the photo? Barrington was in our photos. He's in most of the photos, honestly, and we love them so much more because of that. I at first was very hesitant about having him in the photos, and then I was like, whatever. Barrington brings her joy and makes her happy, so she can have Barrington. And now that we have the photos back and Barrington is in some of our photos, I love it so much. Those photos are actually my favorite ones. So bring all the things. And who cares if they're in the photo? And maybe consider getting takeout that night or a super low maintenance crock pot meal that's actually really super low maintenance, unlike the one I selected because it just added so much extra stress to the day that was not necessary. Next time, I will 100% be ordering takeout after the shoot because it was too much. I didn't need to go home and continue to make a whole dinner for the family, So definitely consider getting takeout or a truly, truly super low maintenance crock pot meal or Instapot, whatever. And mostly, prepare to fail, or at least prepare to feel like you failed. And prepare for the meltdowns. Prepare for one kid to run away while the other one throws themselves onto the ground in a meltdown for the ages. Take the snacks, take the toys, whatever you need, because they might help, but they might not help. And the more prepared you can make yourself to know that anything can happen and anything will happen, the better. And finally, and most importantly, trust your photographer, because as psychotic as our photo shoot day felt to David and me, we were 100% convinced that there would be maybe one good photo of us, our photographer worked her magic and captured the most perfect, beautiful moments. And like I said, if I weren't telling you this and you only had our photos to go off of, you would probably never guess how disastrous that day felt for us. And at the end of the night, have yourself a glass of wine or a strong cup of tea or whatever floats your boat as a congratulatory "we did it" beverage to end your night, because you did. You did it. And I'm sure your photos will be gorgeous, and absolutely everyone who sees them will think, oh my God, what a beautiful, perfect family who had absolutely zero issues at all on that perfect, gorgeous day. And then you and I, knowing everything we know about exactly how that day went, can virtually wink at each other thinking, aren't we though? Today's Just Because moment involves one of my favorite hobbies possibly becoming a huge ick. I'm talking about smutty romantasy books, but specifically smutty romantasy graphic audio books. I love romantasy books. I rediscovered my love for reading right before Keely was born. I was so sick of scrolling on my phone or watching TV at the end of my pregnancy, and I just needed some kind of other outlet. And I randomly came across some series that was recommended to me on Instagram or TikTok or something, and I decided to just give it a shot. It was the Throne of Glass series. So if you've read that series, you know what an amazing series that is. And so to have that be my first series back on the horse, I was so phenomenally happy. And I just have not stopped ever since then. I love the romantasy genre, and I just love getting lost in these worlds. And something I have started to do is to tandem read and listen to audiobooks, because sometimes I'm reading a book and it is so amazing that I don't want to stop. So when I'm taking Keely out on a walk or something, I listen to the audiobook. I catch up, wherever I stopped reading, I start listening to the audiobook. And then when I'm done with the walk, I stop listening to the audiobook, and then I might pick up the actual book again later. I don't know. I really love doing that. And recently I was on hold on the Libby app, which, by the way, if you don't have the Libby app, I cannot recommend it enough. It's a completely free app that is run through your public library. All you need to do is get a library card from your local public library, and then you download the Libby app, connect your library card to the Libby app, and then boom, you now have unlimited access to all of your library's digital resources. It's amazing. Sometimes you have to wait a little bit for a book or an audiobook, but for the most part, that's where I read and listen to everything that I read and listen to. So one day I was trying to listen to this audiobook, but the only one available to me was a graphic audiobook version of that book. And so I stumbled upon the world of graphic audiobooks completely by accident. At first, I was kind of unsure about it. They start off the audiobook with their little tagline, which is a movie in your mind, which makes complete sense because it is a movie in your mind. They have music, they have background noise, sound effects. If there are conversations happening in the background, you hear the mumbles. It really is like you are listening to a movie, which is wonderful and enjoyable 90% of the time. That other 10% of the time, for me personally, I don't know. I can't handle the romantic scenes in the graphic audiobooks. They make me so uncomfortable, and not because of, the romantic parts being dictated out loud. It's nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the noises. Being a graphic audiobook, they're not just talking about what's happening. You're also hearing wet kissing sounds or groaning, like, I don't know. I can't do it. I'm so grossed out by it. But you hear those sounds. You hear lip smacking. You hear those kinds of things. And the gasping. Oh my goodness, the gasping. I can't handle it. It's a romantic scene. And the female main character is being completely ravished by the male character. And her gasp is like she's just been scared. And the gasp is consistent for the romantic scenes. It's the same gasp when she's scared or caught off guard. It's the same gasp, and I hate it. It makes me crazy. I can't handle it. And then you have the kissing sounds and the weird moaning in the background on top of that. I can't do it. I find myself having to fast forward because I'm so focused on the background noise. I can't even pay attention to the actual narrative of the book because I am just... I hyperfixate. I don't try to. I can't help it. I hyperfixate on what is happening in the background sounds. And it's like, I can't, I was going to say I can't look away, but I'm not even looking at it. I can't listen away. I don't know. It's the worst. And I hate it. So for me, graphic audiobooks, they're cool. I understand them. I fully get the appeal. I honestly think they're great with the exception of the romantic scenes. Will I be listening to another one? I probably will give another one a shot at another time. Maybe these things that I'm noticing are only in this specific book series. Maybe it's just those voice actors' chosen way of portraying their characters. I don't know. Maybe not all graphic audiobooks are like this. You can let me know if this is something you have noticed in your graphic audiobooks. But I might just be sticking to regular audiobooks because I don't really need all the extra stuff. I really just like to listen to the book as it is. And so maybe I'll just be sticking to it. But I'm not going to fully write it off because, there's also a chance that I'll want to listen to another audiobook, and like this series, graphic audio will be the only thing available. You need to let me know, am I alone in this? Or do you also agree that romantic scenes make you feel uncomfortable? Do you also hate the weird lip smacking and groans and gasps? What is your take on graphic audiobooks? Let me know. Shoot me an email at thejustbecausediaries@gmail.com. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Just Because Diaries. Please feel free to reach out to me. Let me know your thoughts on the episode, share your family photo tips, or simply let me know what you'd love to hear about in a future episode. Shoot me an email anytime at thejustbecausediaries@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you, and you may just be mentioned in a future episode. Also, give me a follow on Instagram at thejustbecausediaries. And finally, it would mean the world to me if you could please take a few seconds to rate and review my podcast by hitting that 5-star button and leaving me a little love note in the review section. And please share this episode with a fellow parent about to embark on the chaos of family photos, or just a friend you think might enjoy being part of this budding community. Thanks so much again for listening. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Bye for now.